Hey, what's up, everybody? Thank you once again for tuning into another episode of Fantasy First here at the High Stakes Sports Debates Network. Thank you so much for joining us. Today, it's Thursday Night Football, guys, and my New York Football Giants are going up against the Washington Redskins, pretty much trying to avoid their 2015 season ending. I mean, we all know that teams, when you go 0-3 in the National Football League, you're just not coming back from that. So this is kind of really it for the Giants, guys. I mean, for all you Giants fans out there, if you're watching, we know that this team really doesn't look good. They gave up some pretty big fourth quarter leads. This is just a team that looks undisciplined and that just doesn't like finishing or just doesn't know how to. I mean, and I got to put some of that on the coach because I got to believe that there's a certain part of coaching where you got to want to get, these guys want to battle for you. You know, they want to be out there throwing their guts on the line just to try to get a win. And Coughlin kind of used to exude that, but I'm not really seeing it anymore. But that's another conversation for another time. You guys trust me. You guys don't want to hear me rant about the New York Giants. So let's talk about this Thursday Night Football matchup, though, and guys that you want to start and sit because I want to get your advice out there a little bit before the games. So let's start with the New York Football Giants. Clearly, you drafted Eli Manning. This is a great matchup pass-wise. Odell Beckham could do it again. So it'll be interesting. Eli doesn't have his full complement of weapons out there, but I definitely think you might see 2 to 3 touchdowns tonight from Eli Manning. He lit him up last year for 5. I think it was 5. It might have been 4, but I think he threw 5 touchdowns in the same very Thursday Night Football matchup. So Eli Manning, you're going to want to go trot out there. I don't really need to mention Odell Beckham's name at this point. If you're not starting him, I don't know what's going on mentally with you. Maybe you should check yourself into some sort of institution. So Odell, you're trotting out there. Let's talk about this running game because it seems like a full-blown running back by committee. You talk about a guy like Rashad Jennings, not really looking too good. He had a couple spry runs against the Cowboys, but didn't do much against the Falcons. I think this is going to be Shane Vereen's night to shine. You talk about Victor Cruz being out tonight, Preston Parker cut. Ruben Randall hasn't even been targeted, it seems like. Does he even have a catch for the season? I'm not even sure where this guy is. So all those guys I'm not starting. I think that Shane Vereen becomes Eli Manning's second option in the passing game between the 20s. I think Larry Donnell could be in for a touchdown again tonight. You saw last year, I think he caught 3 on these Washington Redskins. This Washington Redskins team can seriously defend the run, so I look for Eli Manning, Ben McAdoo, and this passing West Coast offense to try to get it done through the air against rival Washington. So, if you're an Andre Williams owner in a deeper league, I think if anyone's got the touchdown potential inside the 5, it's Williams. If I'm in 12-man leagues, I'm not starting Andre Williams. If I'm in 14-plus where things get really deep, maybe you're wide receiver heavy. Maybe you've got Julio Jones and D. Thomas. You've got 2 studs or a Gronkowski with a nice quarterback you invested in early. I think Andre then maybe as an RB2 or a flex, I consider it. Because someone's got to get the goal line touches, and that's what that's what Williams' job is. Rashad Jennings, I don't even consider unless, again, I'm in super deep leagues and running back depth is super depleted. Maybe I lost Lacey, maybe I lost Andre Ellington, and I couldn't get to the waiver wire. That's when I consider starting Jennings. I think there's better plays out there, though, this week. So that's kind of pretty much it for the Giants. I'm not starting Randall. I'm not starting whatever other number 3 receiver comes out. So that's pretty much it. I'm starting Manning. I'm starting Beckham, no question. I think if you have better tight end options, that Donnell is someone that you could bench. But if you're streaming tight ends, I like Donnell to maybe get in the end zone tonight. And I love Shane Vereen. Fire him up as a high-end RB2 in PPR. In standard, he's a solid flex just based on the amount of touches. He also had 6 carries, so there's the potential for 20 to 30 yards there with Shane Vereen. So those are my starts for the Giants and my sits. Let's move on to Washington. If you guys listen to the podcast, which if you guys haven't, you can find it at highstakesportsdebates.wordpress.com. I got the podcast up. It's completely different content, more of a recapper of the previous week and things looking forward. I really like. I was like, actually, no, I didn't really like Kirk Cousins, but I'm kind of starting to come around to him now. If you're in a 2 quarterback league, maybe a 16-man league, and you're worried about Breeze or another quarterback injury, maybe you had Tony Romo. I think Kirk Cousins is a legitimate start this week. We know that this team runs their offense through the ground, so don't expect 35 plus passes. But I think Kirk Cousins is a guy who can throw 25 to 30 times, and you're really counting for touchdowns. And you know who he's going to look for touchdowns, right? In case you haven't heard of his name, it's Jordan Reed, who I'm firing up as a tight end 1 tonight. I think he's going to go ballistic. All right, maybe not ballistic, but I think he's going to approach 20 points in a PPR. Look what he did against Miami. Look what he did last week against the Rams' stingy tight end defense. This New York Giants team has allowed touchdowns to Jacob Tamme last week, Jason Witten in week 1. Hell, Gavin Escobar got in the end zone. So I think if you own Jordan Reed while he's healthy, because we know health is always the concern, it's not talent, I think that you should fire up Jordan Reed. Hell, if you're in a deep league, 14 plus, and you can use a tight end in your flex, I might throw this guy out there. I think the matchup is really great for Jordan Reed. If I'm wrong, you guys can all make fun of me in the comment section below. I love a good laugh, guys, so let me hear it. So I'm starting Jordan Reed. In deep leagues, I'm starting Kirk. 12-man, I am not starting Kirk unless I suffered a major injury. And 2 QB leagues, I start Kirk there. Don't expect he could throw 2 picks, but I think you're looking, I guess, overall. I think you're a solid 20 points. I think no more, no less. I think 20 is a nice little expectation there for Kirk Cousins. Let's talk about this ground game now real quick. Oh, and if you have Pierre Garçon, you probably have to start him. If you were a team that maybe you drafted Julio Jones and D. Thomas, just had those 2 elite receivers, or maybe you went after Rodgers, so wide receiver is a little bit of a luxury for you. I think that you don't have to start Pierre Garçon. I think he's a very interesting flex option, but I know a lot of people don't like the whole stigma of Thursday night, oh, if my guy doesn't do well, that I'm entering Sunday at an extreme disadvantage. And while, yes, that's true, I mean, ask yourself, did you start Emmanuel Sanders last week, Thursday night against Denver, and have that help you win your week? Now, we all know that Pierre Garçon doesn't have Peyton Manning, but he's going to get targeted in this offense. I think you're looking at 8 to 10 targets for Pierre Garçon tonight. I fire him up. I'm not expecting world-beating numbers, but I like 14 points in a PPR. So let's talk about this ground game before we wrap things up for tonight's matchups. If you got Morris, you're going to have to start him. You use that 3rd, 4th round pick. Unless maybe you picked up James Starks and you're willing to roll the dice with him on Monday night. I think this is a good defense for the Redskins to run against. Good offensive line so far. Good play by Trent Williams, Brandon Treff, and those boys up front, with Callahan really helping things improve. We know that this Giants team doesn't have John Beeson. They're missing a lot of defensive guys. I think this is a team that could very well be exposed against the run. So, Matt Jones, I own Matt Jones in 3 leagues, and I'm starting him in all 3. I might get burned. I might get seriously rewarded, because we know that this is going to be a timeshare. It's not going to just be one guy. But if I had to choose between the 2 guys, I'm going with Matt Jones. I think he's just the better talent. I like Morris. He'll churn out his 4 to 7 yard runs, and he's great, and you can make a living on that in the NFL. But we saw him struggle against the Rams, where Jones just cut them up, made them look silly. I'm starting both guys, though, just because we know Morris is usually a 3rd or 4th round investment in 12 to 16-man leagues. Unless you got better insurance, if you want to gamble on Chris Ivory's quad or hammy, whatever he's gambling on or dealing with, it's a good home matchup against Philly. That's interesting there, but usually, just because of how slim pickings things are at RB, you probably have to trot Morris out there. Hell, both him and Jones could get a touchdown, but then that would probably make the Kirk Cousins start a little irrelevant, but we'll see. These are all interesting options here. I'm not obviously Deshaun Jackson's hurt. Don't start there, number 2, but I like Jordan Reed here as the biggest impact in this offense tonight, guys. So thank you guys for watching the video. I really appreciate you guys taking the time to watch the channel. If you want to go ahead and follow the podcast at highstakesportsdebates.wordpress.com, go ahead and do so. Like I said, it's totally different content. Whether you're driving to work, bored, on your break, something, it's as easy as clicking play on a blog. So I hope you guys enjoy that. Go ahead and follow me on Twitter at SportsDebateTom. I can answer any questions you've got. Also, I am on Instagram at highstakesportsdebates. You can contact me in the comments section below if you need to. I'm always here to answer your questions and adhere to your concerns. So thank you guys so much. I really appreciate you guys taking the time. I am Tom Jude. This was Fantasy First here on High Stakes Sports Debates. Thank you guys for watching. We'll see you next time. High Stakes Sports Debates.